Hey guys, what's up? Some short guy here. So I'm back with a different type of video today. So today's the 28th of December. If anyone is a comic book fan, then obviously you'll know that today would have been Stan Lee's 96th birthday. So I thought I'd just do a little video, just paying a bit of a homage to one of my all-time childhood heroes, still is to this day. Whenever someone dies, it's sad, but when you look up to someone, like, I didn't want to believe the news at first, because it was just like, you know, we was going through a phase where there was a lot of like, all these hoaxes that celebrities had died, so I was like, yeah, okay. But then when you see it on the official news outlets, I was sitting there going, shit. And that was tough. When you just see the breaking news, Stan Lee dead at 95, it was like, fuck. I think it affects me more than I thought it was because I was this close to meeting him at LFCC. I think it was like 2014. I remember going to there. This is when it was cool. This is how long ago it was. He was like one of the big headline guests there, with Carrie Fisher was another one. Can't remember who else was there, but they were the two big ones. It was annoying because they got there and I queued up to meet Stan Lee, and it was like we had the VIP entry, and I got my ticket. I was at like number 1172. I still remember the number because it still was a gutting feeling that day. And I remember queuing up all day, like checking back and forth between the queues, and the number hadn't gone down. It got to like, I think it was about 1:30 on the Saturday, and his line number was going up to 650 something, and then they just closed off the signing because he'd been signing like all the gold and VIP ticket holders in the morning, so he must have done like 1,000 signatures then. And then when it came to the general entry, they closed it off, and it was gutting because I was literally within 10 feet. I could see him, but I didn't get a chance to actually meet him. That was quite gutting for me because he's a personal hero of mine. Like, he was the reason I got into like Marvel, really, and the reason that I came across things like Spider-Man and X-Men. It's been a month since he passed. It was just horrible. I remember sitting there, I actually got really upset, like, because when you admire and look up to someone, and I would like to have like actually met him and just have a conversation with him, but I think that's why it affects me more, because like I've been quite lucky with all these celebrities and actors I've met at Comic-Con, but he was the one legend that I wanted to meet, and I'll never get a chance to meet him now. So I think I actually did shed a bit of a tear as well, and I don't cry at stuff. Sounds lame. I think when you admire someone, you really respect them. It hit me hard. So I thought with this video today, I'll just do like a little homage to the legend that was Stan Lee, and I've got some like interesting facts and stuff. So I'm just gonna go, because a lot of the stuff I didn't know about him either, so I thought it'd be quite a cool little video, sort of going through the life of him. I have found 2 videos as well I'm going to react to. It's just like his last couple of videos before he passed, and like I've seen the thumbnail and he just didn't look well, so that's going to be quite tough to watch. But I'm just going to spitball some of these facts off right now so you can know stuff about him. I didn't know some of this stuff as well. We'll start with, his real name wasn't Stan Lee. His real name was Stanley Martin Lieber, and he was born on December 28th, 1922 in New York. Stan Lee was sort of like an identity he used. He sort of used it for some of his smaller, lesser works, as you will, and then he sort of stuck with it and it became his official name. So from that moment forward, he became known as Stan Lee. I think it was after he done like his earlier days before it became Marvel Comics, but I'll get into that. So here's something that I didn't know. It was quite interesting. Hulk was meant to be grey. Initially the Hulk was supposed to be grey, but according to Stan Lee, an issue with the printer turned the Hulk green. The printer had a hard time keeping the colour consistent. Lee later said in a statement, so as of issue 2, with no explanation, he turned green. What was sort of an error, if you will, turned out to kind of work in the character's favour, because I know we've got the different version of Hulk, but the green version of the Hulk that we know turned out as a little accident. So I thought that was quite interesting because I didn't know that either, so that was quite a little fun fact. Didn't know that at all. See, we know he's got his cameos, endless cameos. I think day when I see a Marvel film and there's not a Stan Lee cameo, that's when it's going to be real. Like, so that's going to be a sad day. I knew he started his work with comics young, but I didn't know he was this young. So when he was age 17, Stanley became an errand boy at Timely Comics, a company that would evolve into Marvel. He got the job with help from his uncle. Before it became Marvel Comics, it was called Timely Comics. That was sort of like way back when, where they were just starting off on the path, and then when Stanley eventually came up with his first like sort of set of characters, they were known as Marvel. So that was something I didn't know. That was quite interesting. Obviously, his classic catchphrase was Excelsior. I didn't actually know what it meant until I read this, but apparently Stanley's trademark catchphrase was Excelsior, obviously, which we know because he says it in a lot in interviews and stuff. It's a Latin word which generally means higher, superior, or ever upward. I didn't know that's what it meant, so that's quite fitting, really. Stan Lee became Marvel's publisher in 1972. He went on the lecture circuit, moved to LA in 1980, and pursued opportunities for his characters in movies and television. Through it all, though, he kept connected with fans, writing a monthly column called Stan's Soapbox, in which he often slipped in his catchphrase "Enough said" or the sign of Excelsior. The word Excelsior is also the motto and on the seal of New York State, where he was born. Obviously, I knew about his column because I remember seeing that in some comics, like when I started reading them. But when you read stuff like that, it's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense, really. Here's one. See, because obviously he's created and co-created a lot of iconic Marvel characters. His actual favourite was Dr. Victor Von Doom, aka Doctor Doom, the arch nemesis of Stan Lee's first creation, who he co-created with Jack Kirby, which was the Fantastic Four. And that was the first sort of supervillain that they came up with. In an interview, someone asked Stan Lee, if you was to be a Marvel supervillain, who would you be? He said Doctor Doom. Which I can sort of agree with, because Doctor Doom is not only one of the most powerful supervillains, he's also one of the most iconic. Just wish they'd done a decent version of that's a video for another time now, we won't go into that. So I sort of knew this, but I didn't know the full backstory. From 1942 to 45, Stan Lee actually served in the US Army in World War II. He wrote manuals and scripts for training films, part of the Signal Corps, and he's one of only 9 people in the Army listed as a playwright. His job was sort of to do with preparation for like when they were going on missions and stuff, manuals, I suppose, for like weapons and the vehicles they use. Even back then, he was still writing, so you can see like it was sort of coming through at a young age as well. And then, as I mentioned, in 1961, this was when his first creation was like born, basically. So in 1961, Lee and his Marvel collaborators unveiled a group of heroes called the Fantastic Four. The group is introduced as Marvel's answer to Justice League from rival publisher DC Comics. I didn't know that. Huh. Oh shit. I knew Fantastic Four was his first one, but I didn't know it was sort of the answer to DC Comics, because DC had been around a lot longer, I think, at that point. Because obviously Batman was like, what, 30s, I think? So that's quite interesting, that. Because obviously you naturally assume the Avengers were, but at the time Fantastic Four was the first Marvel creation, really, so that was quite interesting. I didn't know that. Well shit. And then from 1961 to 68, he co-wrote comic books and introduced such characters as Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and a group of mutants called the X-Men. I did know that, because obviously he worked with like Jack Kirby and Spider-Man and things like that, and obviously X-Men I know was one of the later ones, because the first team of heroes he did was Fantastic Four, and then I suppose X-Men was next, and then I suppose Avengers followed, and so on and so forth. And then in 1972, Stan Lee became Marvel's publisher. So at this point he was sort of just like a staff writer, I guess, but it was actually in early 70s he became like Marvel's official publisher, so that was quite cool. I didn't know that either. And then we skip quite a lot. 2001, he starts Power Entertainment, which obviously a lot of people have heard of. It's a company that develops movies and television shows centered on new superheroes, so that would have been like the earlier Marvel like films like X-Men, Spider-Man, and then when we got shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., things like that. Power had been around for a long time, so that was something I knew they were around, but I didn't know they'd been going that long, so that was quite interesting, that. January 2011. At the age of 88, Lee gets a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. During an interview with CNN, he says that he devotes much of his time to his education charity, the Stan Lee Foundation. I knew he got the star because, God, that long ago, man, that's crazy. But yeah, I knew he got the star because I remember there was a big thing about it, because obviously he's like a Hollywood legend. So when he got his start, it was kind of a big deal, because like obviously 88, he's been doing this for like 40-50 years. It was sort of a payoff really for all the work he's done to do with comics and stuff. And I know he did a lot of work for his foundation charity as well, because obviously he did a lot for fiction, but then he did a lot in real life as well for like his charities. I think a lot of the charities help like deprived children and things like that, just to give them a better upbringing, so that was quite admirable of him as well. And obviously November 12, 2018 was when he died in LA, in the Los Angeles hospital. That was a rough day, that, because I was just sitting here and I was like, I remember sitting on the sofa, I was just going through my phone and it came up, breaking news, Marvel creator Stan Lee dead, and I thought, what? The more I was going through different news channels and like all these apps on my phone, I went, oh fuck, he's actually dead, like. And I just sort of sat there, looked at my phone like, nah, that was hard to process. That, I don't know, it's sad when we've got a lot of people we look up to that, you know, they've done film, music, whatever. But I don't know, I think for me it was like a more personal connection, because essentially like the stories that Stan Lee's told I've grown up with since I could read when I was like what, 6, 7 maybe even 5. So then you sort of grow up with these stories, and like, yeah, I think one of the first stories that really got me into Stan Lee's work was probably Spider-Man, because he was like a teenager going through high school, didn't know who he was, he gets bit by this radioactive spider, his life turns upside down. I think it was relatable. I think that's why he's probably my favourite Marvel hero, just because he was a relatable hero. Like, I mean, I've never been bit by a radioactive spider, I'm not talking about that, but like the human side of like going through life, being an awkward teenager, not knowing who you're going to be. So I think that's why that particular character stuck with me. I've just grown up with the stories, and then obviously people like X-Men, outsiders, not sure how to mingle with the real world. So even though they're fictional stories and characters, he put real life themes into it, and I think that's something that was different to a lot of comics at the time, because it hadn't been done before. So these are just the 2 videos I found that sort of, I guess these were his last sort of appearances really, and last videos before he passed away. So one is his last interview, so I'm going to watch this because I haven't actually seen this before, so I'm just going to watch this and just sort of react to it. He looks really fragile here and like frail, so he didn't look brilliant. I mean, for a 95-year-old, don't get me wrong, but he looks quite fragile and frail here. It's just quite sad to see really.
It's an equal love fest, because I love my fans. I cannot tell you how much I love my fans.
So that was the thing with him as well, like, because with all the like the conventions, because obviously you know I'm an avid convention goer, but a lot of the groups I'm in, like people that actually met Stan Lee, like they've always said that he really, really loves his fans and he really makes the time. I mean, for a 90-odd-year-old guy, and he was there signing more than some of like the younger headline actors, it just goes a testament to show that he really valued his fans and really like took the time out for them. And as this video is going to show that how much he loves them, even though he's probably never met half of them, it's just the fact that there's that connection between like creator and fan, which is quite special.
Sometimes at night I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what's it all about, you know? And then I get a letter from a fan, or I read something, or I see something, or I remember something, and I realize it's so lucky.
That's the thing as well. Like, I suppose for them, obviously, they live in just like the whole Hollywood world, so it's like it's nothing we'll ever be able to experience well, you know, unless you had that big break. But they could be on a bad day, and if you get a letter from a fan or like a message on social media, it can sort of make their day. And from what I get from what he's saying here, is that that one little letter made a massive difference to him that day, and that's what he's always going to remember.
To have fans who really care about you, and that's the reason I care so much about the fans, because they make me feel so great.
That's the thing as well. It's that connection between like sort of fan and sort of celebrity or guest, essentially. Because I've met a lot of actors and like these celebrity guests at conventions, and I've got to be honest, there have been some I've met that I think, wow, they've just blown my mind. They were like absolutely amazing. They've remembered me, like they've remembered my name. I've had a great chat, and then there's been some that haven't been so great. But it is like to some people it's like, oh, why do you want to meet him? But to me it's like sort of my going to New York sort of excitement, and getting to thank someone, talk to them about something that I love, whether it's a movie, comic book, a show, and just having that interaction which you cannot put a price on. I've been really lucky in that aspect. The fact I've met so many people, I've got all these memories, and it's like you can't put a price on it really, and that's essentially what he's saying here.
And there's something, if you think about it, that is wonderful about somebody caring about you as I care about them, whom you've never met.
That's the thing about it. Never met them, but they can have such an impact in your life.
They care, and you have something in common, and occasionally you contact each other. And this business of fans, I think, is terrific, and I love them all.
So it goes to show he really loved his fans and stuff. I mean, that's sad watching that, because that literally was the last video he did. I mean, there's another one I found, but I think this was a joke one that he did. I'm gonna play this one quickly. I remember seeing this one. I think he put it on, like one of his team put it on his Instagram and social media pages. Let's have a look. There we go.
A number of people have been worried about my left hand.
It's not as serious as it is.
I really appreciate their concern, because they noticed that I wasn't using it in a normal way. It was injured.
He looks better in this one than he did in the previous one.
It's now fine. I have no problem with it at all. But strangely enough, there seems to be something wrong with this.
Oh, it gets me every
I'll
time.
figure it out. But it's very mysterious, really.
It's just the sense of humour he had as well. That's what's great about it. Obviously, you can see in that one there, that was just the type of character he was. Like, even though I think at that point he must have known that his health was deteriorating, but even then, still managed to put a smile on people's faces, and the whole can. Like, that's just, I remember actually laughing at that when I saw that. That was brilliant. It is a sad day, because obviously it would have been his 96th birthday. Because obviously in the world of entertainment, like, he's a legend. There's no two ways about it. Like, when people die, like, they always talk about leaving something behind, and he's left behind a legacy that I don't think is ever going to get repeated ever again. Because he's did it for so long and he was so heavily involved in Marvel. Because I remember reading saying that part of his contract was he had to contribute like 10% of his time, like a year, in terms of like the business. But I remember reading stuff and seeing photos. He was always on set with someone like directors of the films and the actors. He was always in the Marvel offices working with all these new and upcoming writers and like artists. So you could tell he was really devoted and passionate about Marvel as a brand as a whole, because essentially it was like his baby. When he became the publisher, he's grown it from 1972 up until 2018. That's quite impressive for a role, do you know what I mean? But it won't ever be the same. Like, I think, you know, all joking aside, I think when we had that very last Stan Lee cameo in a Marvel film, that's when it's going to hit a lot of people. Because that's what's made the movie so great, is the little cameos he's had and little nods to all things. Like, apparently one of his favourite ones was the one in the 2002 Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 film, when he's talking to Peter at Times Square and he says, "One man can make a difference." He's gone proving that he can. You know, the stories and the characters, and they're not going to be forgotten anytime soon. It's going to be sort of interesting to see how future comics are going to be now, because he's not got that creative input that he's had previously. It's not like we've got a lack of stuff to read. No disrespect to all these new artists and writers, it's not going to have the Stan Lee touch to it. Like, I think the thing with his writing that was so unique was, like I said, it's the human themes. Yeah, you got these superhero people with all these amazing abilities, but when he brings them down a peg and makes them actual human, I think that's the difference between a writer and a creator, I think, because they go full circle, not just having the cool powers, but to show they have got a human side and they are vulnerable, as powerful as they can be. Yeah, I mean, Stan Lee he is a hero of mine, and he always will be. I'm really sad I never got to meet him. I mean, I was within 10 feet of him. It's not something to be frowned at, but part of me wishes I got a photo of him that day. It is regret. I know he's going to live on through all his stories and his characters. I think his cameo for Avengers 4 was filmed, so Avengers Endgame, his cameo's in it, but I think after that, I don't think there'll be any more, because I think they must have filmed ahead. So yeah, I just thought this would be a cool little video to do, just as a little tribute to someone that I admire, and I know thousands and millions of people around the world do, because obviously what Stan Lee has left behind is a legacy that won't ever be forgotten. He's done amazing work with Marvel, and the stories that he's told are going to live on through generations and generations to come. Guess this is just a little thank you to Stan Lee for all that he's done for the comic and entertainment industry. It won't ever be the same without him. It was a harsh shoes to fill. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks for watching as always. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and stay tuned for more content, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I guess the only thing left for me now to say is Excelsior. Rest in peace, Stan the man.